So let's compare Kenya to Uganda. Today we'll break our comparison down into 6 categories: basic information, geography, people, economies, militaries, and of course any other random crap I could think of. Kenya and Uganda are both East African nations bordering the mighty Lake Victoria. They gained independence from British rule around the same time in the early 1960s, but since then, each has carved its own unique path. Modern-day Uganda gained independence from the UK on October 9, 1962 with Queen Elizabeth II as head of state and Queen of Uganda. In October 1963, Uganda became a republic but maintained its membership in the Commonwealth of Nations. Meanwhile, in 1962 Kenyatta was released to become Kenya's first prime minister when Kenya finally gained independence on December 12, 1963. The following year, Kenya became a republic with Kenyatta as its first president. In the same year Kenya joined the British Commonwealth. Kenya's head of state is President William Ruto of the United Democratic Alliance Party. Its head of government is Prime Minister Musalia Mudavadi. Uganda's president and head of government is Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power since 1986 as part of the national resistance movement. The beautiful crane is the official symbol of Uganda and can be seen flying high on their national flag and coat of arms. Crown cranes are one of the most majestic birds in Africa. Meanwhile, Kenya's national animal is the lion. Lions are one of the most charismatic species on earth, idolized across the world as a symbol of courage and strength. Not only do they play a big part in ecosystem health, but they are also a major contributor to Kenya's GDP. It's no wonder that the lion is Kenya's national animal. Uganda is a unitary semi-presidential republic. The central government in Kampala holds significant authority, but there is a system of district local governments that handle some administrative responsibilities within their jurisdictions. In contrast, Kenya is a unitary republic but with a more decentralized structure. Kenya's counties have semi-autonomous powers and run their own governments headed by county governors. The national government based in Nairobi carries out many of the key governmental roles, but county governments in Kenya exercise more autonomy compared to Uganda's district local governments. The Kenyan flag features a horizontally bisected background with 4 stripes, 1 black, 2 white, 1 red and 1 green. In the center is a shield with 2 crossed spears. This tricolor flag dates back to Kenya's independence in 1963. Meanwhile, the Ugandan flag consists of 6 equal horizontal stripes, black, yellow, red, and black, yellow, red from top to bottom. In the center is a white circle containing a crested crane, Uganda's national bird. This distinct flag design was adopted in 1962 after independence from Britain. By East African standards, both Kenya and Uganda are modestly sized countries in terms of area. Kenya has an area of 582,646 square kilometers or around 224,960 square miles. Uganda is slightly smaller with an area of 200,520 square kilometers or approximately 93,065 square miles. This makes Kenya roughly 2.4 times the size of Uganda. For comparison visuals, here is Kenya and Uganda placed over East Africa, here they are over Western Europe, here are the 2 countries placed over the southeastern United States, this is them overlaid on the northern part of South America, and here they are situated over the Indian subcontinent in Asia. The size differential, with Kenya being over double the area of Uganda, is quite notable when visualizing the 2 countries mapped over other regions of the world. While not the largest nations in Africa, their geographical footprints are still significant in the East African context. Kenya's territory consists of about 1.93% water and 98.07% land. Uganda's territory consists of about 15% water and 85% land. Kenya has a considerably longer coastline than landlocked Uganda with a total of 536 kilometers or 333 miles along the Indian Ocean compared to Uganda's complete lack of coastline. Kenya is divided into 47 semi-autonomous counties, with Nairobi being the most populous. 4 of Kenya's cities, Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nakuru, are also counties. Uganda is divided into 135 districts, with Kampala having the largest population. In terms of area, Turkana is Kenya's largest county while Mombasa is the smallest. For Uganda, Kolangala is the smallest district by area while Kasese is the largest. Nairobi is Kenya's capital city while Kampala is Uganda's capital. Uganda borders a total of 5 countries: Kenya, South Sudan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Rwanda, and Tanzania. Kenya borders Somalia, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Uganda, and Tanzania, a total of 5 countries. Kenya also shares a border with Seychelles, but its border is all the way across the Indian Ocean. Kenya and Uganda share some geographic similarities with rolling hills and plateaus, but also have distinct differences. While both have areas suitable for agriculture and grazing, Kenya has more diverse terrain, including a hot, arid climate along the coastal region, contrasting with the temperate highlands around Nairobi and in western Kenya. Uganda is landlocked with a more consistently warm tropical climate. The contrasts are exemplified by the coastal city of Mombasa having a hotter year-round climate than Uganda's capital Kampala, located further inland. Both countries are home to some major mountains on the continent, with Kenya's tallest peak being Mount Kenya and Uganda's tallest mountain being Ruwenzori mountain range on the border with the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Other significant mountains include the Longonot in Kenya and Mount Elgon that is shared between the two countries. Kenya's topography is defined by the Great Rift Valley running through the western region, cutting it into two. The central highlands around Nairobi give way to a low-lying coastal strip along the Indian Ocean. Uganda is a plateau-dominated landlocked nation, with its highest elevations in the Ruwenzori Mountains along the DRC border. While Kenya has direct ocean access, Uganda relies on ports in neighboring countries for maritime trade. Both Kenya and Uganda have significant rivers that have influenced human settlement patterns. In Kenya, rivers like the Tana and Athi run through cities like Garissa and Nairobi. Uganda's river systems include the Victoria Nile flowing through Jinja, and the Kagera feeding into Lake Victoria near Entebbe. Kenya and Uganda are both populous nations in East Africa, but they differ in population size and growth rates. Kenya is home to over 53 million people with a 1.6% population growth rate. Uganda has a population of around 45 million but a higher 3% growth rate. In terms of global population, Kenya ranks 26th most populous country in the world, behind Italy and ahead of Myanmar. Meanwhile, Uganda ranks 30th, behind South Korea and ahead of Sudan. Overall, for every Ugandan there are about 1.18 Kenyans. Uganda, with 237 people per square km or 614 people per square mile, is more densely populated than Kenya, with 94 people per square km or 244 people per square mile. Kenya's largest cities include Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, Eldoret, and its capital and biggest city Nairobi. As for Uganda, its major cities are Entebbe, Jinja, Mbale, Mbarara, with the capital Kampala being the largest. While Nairobi has a large city population, Kenya also has major population clusters around Lake Victoria and the Indian Ocean coast. Uganda's population is more evenly spread across regions, though with notable concentrations in the central and southwestern areas around Kampala. Around 80% of Kenyans speak Kiswahili as a first or second language, while 65% speak various Bantu languages and about 31% speak Nilotic languages. Other languages include Arabic, Hindu, and other European languages. English is also an official language spoken by at least 50%. In Uganda, around 64.8% speak Luganda as their first language, 28.2% speak Ocholi and other Nilotic languages, while English is used as the main official language for over 85% of the population. Just like in Kenya, Uganda also speaks many other languages. In Kenya, around 85% of the population is Christian, 11% Muslim, and 4% follow traditional religions or other faiths. Uganda has a similar Christian majority at 84%, with 14% Muslim and 2% following other religions. About 49.7% of the Kenyan population is male while 50.3% is female. About 49.9% of the Ugandan population are male while females are 50.1%. Kenya's median age is 19.86 years, while Uganda's is 15.7 years. Both countries have relatively young populations compared to aging societies in Europe. Kenya is often considered to be East and Central Africa's primary industrial and economic powerhouse, and its economy is certainly reflective of that title. Everything from banks and fintech to chapatis and nyama choma is made there. With an astounding GDP of $225 billion, Kenya has the fourth largest economy in Africa behind only Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa. Uganda's economy is also quite impressive with a GDP of $52.4 billion. It has Africa's 13th largest economy behind Ivory Coast, Ghana, and DRC. Kenya's population accounts for just 3.77% of the African population, but its economy accounts for about 4.2% of the African economy. Uganda's population accounts for just 3.14% of the global population, but its economy accounts for about 1.8% of the African economy. Uganda is home to some major brands like Centenary Bank, Kaigas, Bell Lager, Splash, Star Cafe, Graphic Systems, King's College Budo, Rainbow International School and Euroform. Kenya is also home to major brands like M-Pesa, Brookside, Safaricom, Tusker, Suwave, KCB Bank, Kenya Airways, Citizen TV, East African Breweries Limited and Equity Bank. Kenya's $2,800 GDP per capita is comparable to places like the Congo, Sao Tome and Principe, Ivory Coast, and Africa as a whole. Uganda's decently lower GDP per capita of $1,163 is comparable to places like the Togo, Guinea-Bissau, Rwanda, and Lesotho. Overall, Kenya's GDP per capita is about 148% higher than Uganda's GDP per capita. Both Kenya and Uganda are a part of the East African community and use the shilling as their currency. One South African rand is equal to Kenya shillings 6.96 and 205.61 Ugandan shillings. Both Uganda and Kenya are some of East Africa's largest importers and exporters of goods in 2023. Uganda imported over $0.82 billion worth of goods and exported over $3.99 billion worth of goods. Meanwhile, Kenya imported well over $15.4 billion worth of goods and exported over $13.85 billion worth of goods. About 4.28% of the Ugandan population are unemployed, while Kenya has an unemployment rate of 5.5%. Kenya's richest person is industrialist Monu Chanderia. He chairs the Comcraft Group, which produces steel, aluminum and plastics across Africa. He has an estimated net worth of $2.5 billion. Sudhir Ruparelia is Uganda's richest person. His fortune comes primarily from his Ruparelia Group's investments across sectors like education, hospitality, and real estate development. Ruparelia has a net worth of $1.2 billion. The average income in Uganda is roughly $900 per year, while the average income in Kenya sits at about $2,400 per year. Kenya has around 50,000 active duty military personnel and 22,000 reserve personnel. Uganda has about 45,000 active duty personnel and 10,000 reservists. Overall, Uganda has a total military force of around 55,000, while Kenya has approximately 77,000 total personnel. Both Uganda and Kenya drop tens of billions of dollars on their militaries each year. Uganda spends $0.923 billion on its military, while Kenya spends $2.20 billion. Kenya ranks 5th for its expenditures in Africa, while Uganda ranks 10th. Overall, Kenya is ranked as having Africa's 12th strongest military, while Uganda is ranked as having Africa's 22nd strongest military. Football, or soccer if you speak Swahili, is the most popular sport in both Kenya and Uganda, with each country having produced regional footballing talents. The two countries, alongside their East African sister country Tanzania, are poised to host the 2027 AFCON tournament. Athletics like running and rugby are also widely followed in the two East African nations. Kenya has 113 Olympic medals, while Uganda has 11. Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi is Kenya's busiest, handling around 10.5 million passengers in 2023. Entebbe International Airport near Kampala is the largest airport in Uganda, with around 1.9 million passengers in 2023. Uganda's most famous landmark is either Kabi Tombs or the Nile River near Jinja. Kenya's most famous landmark is probably the Great Masai Mara or Mount Kenya. Kenyan international Lupita Nyong'o is the most followed Kenyan on Instagram with over 11 million followers. Ugandan celebrity Zareta Bosledi has over 12 million Instagram followers, the highest for someone from East Africa. On YouTube, Kenya's most subscribed channel is Citizen TV with over 4.66 million subscribers. Uganda's top YouTuber is Rico Animations with 8.28 million subscribers. In terms of viewership on this channel, Kenyans have contributed around 150,000 views so far, while Ugandans have added approximately 75,000 views. Click here to watch my comparison of Kenya and Tanzania. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, goodbye.